Hi there, welcome back to Nico Talks Hockey. Today we're doing my very first power rankings on the channel on Nico Talks Hockey, where we are going to talk about how all the teams are doing right now in the NHL. All 32 teams, we're going to go through all 32 of them and kind of go through where I think they're at. And it's not just going to be based on standings, right? That would be so easy, that'd be so lazy. It's going to be, what I've seen from them. I've tried to watch at least, 2 games of every single team this season so far, and I've kept up with everything and kind of looked at the stats, and so just of course it's subjective, right? It's my own power rankings, but it's going to obviously take into account the standings as well. So I'll look at the kind of the trends, how the team's doing right now. Maybe are they a bit of a paper tiger? Obviously this is very early on in the season, but yeah. So as I go along, I'll explain it a little bit more, but I'll also try to keep it brief because we got 32 teams to get through. So without further ado, let's get right onto it. At number 32, in last place for my very first power rankings on the channel, it's the Calgary Flames. It can't be any other team than the Calgary Flames. They are in last place in the league, and they deserve to be last place in the power rankings. Through 14 games, they've got 3 wins, 9 losses, and 2 overtime losses, overtime shootout losses for only 8 points. Yeah, I think that it's their record is indicative of their play. They are just the worst team. There's some bad teams that are coming up, and I'll say them in a sec. But they are not as bad as the Flames. They are kind of hopeless. Dustin Wolf's having a kind of a sophomore slump, and that was the only thing that was kind of keeping them anywhere close to the playoff race last year. Their offense is so anemic, and their defense can't help out their goalie who's struggling a little bit right now. So Flames at number 32. At number 31, I've got the St. Louis Blues. Yeah, they're really bad right now. They've actually got the same amount of points as Calgary right now. They have played 2 less games though. I don't know. Everything's just going wrong for the Blues right now. You've got injuries piling up with Thomas being out right now. I don't know when he comes back. Neighbors is out for like 4 more weeks. Then you go to the goaltending, and that's just horrible right now because of Hofer, and Binnington's been sub-average, I would say. And then you add on that, I don't know, it just seems that like a lot of players, namely Buchnevich is probably the chief among them, of players that just don't seem to be caring that much. They don't seem to be giving their all. Kairu's still the best. Well, no, I think Thomas is the best player on that team, but Kairu is the one who always looks like he's giving a damn out there. So good for Kairu, but St. Louis Blues at 31 right now. At number 30, I have the Minnesota Wild, another Central team. In fact, there's going to be a trend here. A lot of Western Conference teams are going to be at the bottom here. It just so happens the East is I'd say, on average better right now, early on in the season after the first month. And speaking of the first month, these I will be updating the power rankings every month. So at the end of every month, I will be doing the next installment. So at the end of November, I'll have another power backings out for you. But yeah, back to the Minnesota Wild. I think that they're another team that's kind of just hopeless. But like, they care more than the Blues, I feel like, right now. Like, you can see on the ice they're trying, but I don't know if it's the systems, or just the fact that besides Rossi, Kaprizov, and Boldy, all the other the players on offense, they're just not cutting it right now. They're not pulling their own weight. So the Wild, it's early, still got time to turn around, but the Central is loaded this year, and it's looking worse and worse for them as the days go on. Moving on to number 29, I've got the San Jose Sharks. They just lost in a shootout to the Red Wings last night. They're if I made this power rankings like after the first week or the second week, they'd be number 32 or 31. But I had to put them at 29 here because I want to give them a little bit of credit. They're actually really, really trying hard out there. Obviously, they don't have the talent to back it up, but Askarov will have a bad game here and there, but then he'll back it up with a decent game, and Celebrini's unbelievable. Will Smith is progressing even more. Kurashev's on fire right now. The Sharks, they're trying, and believe me, I can see it. So for any San Jose fans maybe out there, don't worry. I can see how much the Sharks are fighting and battling hard for wins. Moving on to number 28, I've got the Nashville Predators. The Predators kind of started out a little bit strong. It's middling at best now, and it's not. It's worse than middling. They're going to be one of the worst teams in the league this season. That's why I predicted to start the the season standings predictions, and I think they're showing that will be the case. Yeah, it's just that they have Barry Trotz, in my opinion, is the worst GM in the league, and this is a team that just needs a complete rebuild, in my opinion. Sucks they've got these long-term contracts now, though, and I don't really know what they're going to do going forward. We'll see. Moving on to number 27, it's the Vancouver Canucks, another Pacific team, another Western Conference team. Vancouver, I wish they were higher up, and they definitely have time. The Pacific is so wide open. But that being said, they're just, everything's going bad for the Canucks. The saying, like, everything's coming up Millhouse. Well, everything's going down for the Canucks. They've got so many injuries. They traded for Reichel, who looks, decent to start for them. But, if you're trading for Reichel to be your number 2 center for the current time, you're not doing so hot. Hedl injured. Pettersson is unbelievable defensively. It's the offensive side of the puck that, he's still relatively snake bitten, and he's not at the point totals that he used to be at. So they're gonna have to squeak out wins here every now and then. They're trying really hard. They're competing hard every night. Vander Kane's still doing the dumb penalties like all the time, so that is just infuriating to watch and see. But definitely a time for the Canucks to turn around. But for now, they are number 27. At number 26, another Pacific team. It's the Los Angeles Kings. They're, to me, their record right now states that they're 5-4-4, so they're over 500 with 14 points on the season through 13 games played. This is one of the teams that may be a little higher in the league standings, but not for me. For me, on the power rankings, I think they are worse than their record suggests. I do not have them as a playoff team. I'm sorry, Kings fans, I'm not critiquing you just to critique you. I think this team has a lot of flaws, and although it is a wide open Pacific and they absolutely can still make it, just the flaws I see in this team, I think that, Jim Hiller, I don't think he's a good coach. And I think they would benefit, honestly, if they could fire their coach and get maybe like Pete DeBoer as fast as possible. So for me, I think they're -7 in terms of their goal differential. So yeah, not great for the Kings. And to me, they're 26th of the power rankings on the power rankings. At number 25, rounding out, if you were to cut this up in fourths, this is the bottom fourth of the league. At number 25 is the Boston Bruins. The Boston Bruins, in my opinion, are the worst Atlantic team. I predicted them to be the worst Atlantic team, so it's not really a surprise. I think for a lot of Boston fans, it's also not really a surprise. It's kind of a retool year. If they can have a great shot to get Gavin McKinnon and then reload up, and that would be unbelievable. It'd be best case scenario for Boston. So I don't think that it's too crazy to have them here. They are battling hard. They're working hard for wins. Swayman is obviously improved, but he had that horrible game, like, I want to say it was like a week ago. He let in like a bunch of goals. But either way, I still think that Swayman's improved upon last year. Pastrnak is still unbelievable and should be potentially, if he can turn this team a little bit around, maybe in the Hart Trophy case. But for now, the team as a whole, 25th. At number 24 on the power rankings, I've got the New York Islanders. The Islanders keep surprising me, man. Schaefer looks like, to me, the clear favorite right now for the Calder Trophy for Best Rookie of the Year. The Islanders, they're not accepting that a lot of people have them as like this team that's going to miss the playoffs and potentially be a lottery team and go for Gavin McKenna. They're just not accepting that. I don't know if that's leadership from Lee and Patrick Waugh communicating effectively, or maybe just a lot of us underestimating the talent on this team. But the Islanders keep surprising, and they keep winning games. So good for the New York Islanders. They come in at number 24. At number 23, it's a team that should not be doing this badly. It's the Toronto Maple Leafs. Toronto, I do believe they'll get it figured out. I think that this is an adjustment period. They're trying to change their identity from a team that was always good in the regular season and then choked in the playoffs, to a team that's much more playoff built, but maybe not so great in the regular season. So they're trying to kind of flip their entire identity around. That takes time, and right now they're failing at it. So I'm at 23, but I still think there's plenty of time, and I do believe they'll make the playoffs. At number 22, it's actually the Washington Capitals. This might be maybe one of the biggest surprises on my power rankings list here so far, because I'm looking at the standings right now. They're actually not in a playoff spot right now. So Washington's not in a playoff spot. I think that they are receiving unbelievable goaltending, and I think that's masking a little bit of the problems that they have. And I think that because they're such a fun team with Ovi and some of the young guys there, they're very likable. I think that maybe not enough people are maybe telling themselves and saying to themselves that, yeah, these Washington Capitals aren't as good as last year. And I mean, that's evident, but it's more like maybe, in such a competitive East, maybe if they don't rack up the wins here early on, they could be struggling come later in the season. So that's my opinion. I personally believe it's gonna be close when it comes to that playoff race. I don't think they're gonna be in the top 3 of the division. I think they're gonna be battling for a wild card spot, because I do believe that their offense is just so anemic. It is, apologies for using that word again, but it's just like they can't score that well. It's just it's a lot of famine right now for goals scored. So yeah, Washington, they come in at number 22. At number 21, it's my Chicago Blackhawks. Again, I've said this in a recent video, but I'm so happy about how Chicago's doing. I do expect them to miss playoffs. I do expect them to regress a bit from where they are right now in the standings. Right now, they're kind of hovering around a wild card spot. They're above 500, which is awesome to see, but I don't think that Knight, I think, is an unbelievable goaltender, but I do not believe that he'll, be the Vezina caliber all season long. I think that will taper off, and the PDO luck will eventually, it'll wear out. So Chicago, I think eventually, next time I do these power rankings, I pray that they're higher or around the same, but they'll probably come down a little bit. But at 21, it's very encouraging to see for the Blackhawks. They're finally taking that step out of the basement of the league. At number 20, we've done a third of the league so far. At number 20, we've got the Ottawa Senators. Ottawa Senators, I had to put them lower here because I can't stand their defense and their defensive system that they're doing right now. Ullmark as well. Maybe I'm a little bit more sour on them right now because I had them so high in the Atlantic when I predicted them. I had them number 1 in the Atlantic this season. So, egg on my face. That looks terrible right now. Because it's such a competitive East and competitive Atlantic division that, having so few wins early on in the season doesn't bode well at all. Excuse me. Doesn't bode well at all for, making said playoffs. So not great from the Ottawa Senators. They know how to score. That's not a problem at all. It's the defense. They've got talented defensemen, Sanderson and Shabbat and, Zub. It's just I don't know. It's they need to figure that out, or I don't know. I don't know how high up the standings they can rise if they don't figure out the defense. And Ullmark can turn it around. Moving on to number 19, it's another Atlantic team. It's the Tampa Bay Lightning. They've threaded a few wins together in a row now, which is good to see if you're a Lightning fan. But I still think that this is a team that's quite old, and it's going to be really hard for them to kind of keep up with the rest of the league. That being said, they know how to. Their compete is as high as any other team in this league. They're trying really hard for wins, but it doesn't help when your top 2 players on offense, at least in Braden Point and Nikita Kucherov, they are not having great starts of the season at all, especially Braden Point. So I don't know if that's a lingering injury issue or what, but if they want to rise up these standings and rise up their own division, they need their top 2 players to get rolling here. At number 18, another Florida team. It's the Florida Panthers, another Atlantic Division team as well. The thing I can say that's best about watching the Panthers so far is just how much they care. They don't care who they're facing. They are trying so hard, and that's really evident. But they are missing that star power, and that's also quite obvious, right? They're missing Kachuk and they're missing Barkov, And Reinhart is not producing at the level that he usually produces. I imagine that's because he's missing his line mates, right? His usual line mates. Bennett's being forced into a role, the top line center role, that's not where he should be. Marchand is their best player right now by far. So again, I've said this before, but if they can tread water for a little bit here and just wait for Kachuk to get back, then I think they'll be fine. They'll make playoffs pretty easily. But right now, they're hovering around a kind of a middling team, and so that's where I ranked them, around the middle of the league. At number 17, just missing the top half of the league, it's the New York Rangers. New York Rangers, again, I've said this before, but it's wearing a little thin. Is I do think they're better than the record states. The New York Rangers, I think, are better. They're playing good hockey. It's just the results aren't there. I do think the luck will turn around for them soon. But that being said, they're so disappointing. I don't know. It's just this air about them that's disappointing, and they got to make sure that air does not follow them around like a horrible stench, because that's the kind of stuff that can derail a season and derail the momentum, even when you're not getting those wins. So Shesterkin, he's trying his absolute best. He's unbelievable out there. And if he keeps this up and they make playoffs, yeah, he probably wins the Vezina, another Vezina trophy to add to his collection. But Rangers, New York Rangers at number 17. Moving to the top half of the league, at number 16, I've got the Buffalo Sabres. They're a little high, maybe. I'm trying to predict what people might say. That they might be a little too high for people's liking. But in my opinion, what I've seen from them, they had a bad start, a bad first 4 games, and then they've turned around since then. And since then, I think they've actually been quite strong. I really like from what I've seen from them. They're very responsible on kind of both sides of the puck. I would like to see a little bit better defense played, and the goaltending, just a little bit more consistency. But the goal scoring is good. I like how they're getting, lots of effort from up and down the lineup, all 4 lines. So yeah, 16 Sabres. I'm not going to count them out yet for the playoffs. I know there are a lot of people who have already done it. I'm not ready to do that yet. I really hope these Sabres can prove a lot of people wrong this season. At number 15, I've got the Edmonton Oilers. Oilers, they're in no danger of missing playoffs. They're just not playing at this point in the season, playing like a team that deserves to be higher than 15th in the power rankings. They're just not that impressive. Now, it's just because they're kind of playing on autopilot right now. They're kind of just like, yeah, we don't really care about the October wins. They know that they're important and they know that they have to get them, but just not playing up to their fullest potential. So I fully imagine the months coming, the months to follow, and the power rankings to follow on this channel, they will rise up those rankings. Moving on to number 14, a team that's impressed me quite a bit. It's the Philadelphia Flyers. The Flyers, yeah, it surprised me a little bit for sure. I like how Rick Talk is having this team play. Now, I've said before that I don't like how he's employing Michkov. I don't like how they've handled that situation. But that being said, the goaltending has definitely come in clutch recently. And if they keep this up, they could be in the hunt for a wild card spot come closer to, February, March, April. So, yeah, I really like how they've been playing. Konechny's finally getting rolling. So, good stuff from the Flyers. Moving to the top 13, 3 teams left that will not be in the top 10, the best of the league. Number 13, the Dallas Stars. They're a team that I predicted to be they made playoffs in my predictions, but they are actually a wild card spot in my season standings predictions. So this is not too surprising to me. I think that with the new coach, maybe they're getting used to just the coach and maybe some new systems. So I don't hold it too much against them, but I do, for a power rankings, I have to, rank them accordingly with how they're playing, and they're playing okay. They're playing good, but not great. And, that'll land them at 13th. At number 12, this is a team that's playing very good, actually. I think we've made a jump here from teams that are playing good to good. So this is at number 12, the Anaheim Ducks. They just got an awesome win against the New Jersey Devils, just completely shut them down pretty much all game. Joel Quenneville has them playing some really nice hockey right now. They beat the Red Wings before that. That was an awesome game. I got to watch that one. So yeah, they're playing really impressive. They are prone to the occasional game where they, it's kind of all chaos and they let in a bunch of goals, but they also know how to score them. They're scoring a bunch. I just really like how they're playing, and as the game as the season goes along, they get more used to Quenneville's systems and the style of his coaching. I think it's gonna be. I think the Ducks are gonna easily be the number 3 team in the Pacific when the season ends. Moving on to number 11, another Pacific team and just missing the top 10, Seattle Kraken. This team, right now, the top 4 are looking like the Knights, Oilers, Kraken, and Ducks, right? In some kind of order. That's like the top 4 in the Pacific. Kraken are playing very, very respectable hockey. Really like how they're playing. They're keeping it close. They're battling hard. They don't have the most talent, but they're making up for it in really, really respectable hockey and playing the right way. So, would like to see more goals. Not enough goals scored for my liking, but they're 11th, and that's really good. And definitely exceeds my expectations for them going into the season. At number 10, these are the top 10 teams in the entire league, according to my own power rankings. At number 10, I've got the Columbus Blue Jackets. Blue Jackets, really cool to see them piece together some wins here. I was worried that it'd kind of be like more of a middling team after seeing their start. But it's still kind of the start, and they're putting up some wins here. So really cool to see. It was a heartbreaking loss. I forget even who they lost to. It was the Islanders. Yeah, the Islanders. Oh, that was so heartbreaking. But just to lose in regulation like that, not even get a point. But I just like how they're playing, and if Fantilli can really get going here, really start putting some more points on the board, they're gonna ascend even higher. At number 9, I've got the Carolina Hurricanes. The Hurricanes, yeah, they're kind of doing as good as everyone expected them to do. Now, that being said, Svechnikov and Ehlers could be playing a little bit better, that's for sure. This emphasis on Svechnikov, because I feel like Ehlers, from what I've seen from his efforts there, it's just the points haven't been there yet. Svechnikov, I don't know what's going on with Svechnikov. So, but for the fact that they're still doing this good, and 2 of their top 6 players, maybe potentially top 3 players, top 4, are kind of snake bitten. It says a lot about how this team is run by Coach Rod Brindamore. Anderson is doing great as in goal. Jarvis is unbelievable. So yeah, Hurricanes at number 9. Moving to the top 4th of the league, the top 8 teams of all 32 in the NHL. On this power rankings, number 8 is the Detroit Red Wings. Detroit had an awesome start. They've just tapered off a little bit, but they're still there. They're still in the top of the Atlantic. Let's look here. They're 2nd in the Atlantic. So they're still keeping pace. They got the win against San Jose. So that's really cool to see. And so I mean, like, obviously it's a team that you should beat in San Jose, but for Detroit, it's all about consistency and not kind of tapering off. They've had seasons before where they've kind of had great starts and they've tapered off, so just got to keep it up. Got to keep it up for Detroit. Would love to see them back in the playoffs. At number 7 is the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the best team in the Pacific right now. One of the best offenses in the entire league. Their biggest deficiency, and the thing that may sink them if it's not figured out, is goaltending, right? Carter Hart is coming in December. We'll see if that can help them out. But if it doesn't, because he's been away for 2 years, if that doesn't work out and Hill can't turn around, which I don't have the most faith in Hill right now, and Schmid, he can only take them so far as kind of a serviceable backup goaltender. That might limit them, and maybe come trade deadline time they're looking for a goalie. So we'll see. But Knights are still a very, very good team. I don't want to take anything too much away from them. So they are at number 7. At number 6, just means in the top 5 of the entire league. Number 6, a team that really impressed me so far. It's the Utah Mammoth. Utah Mammoth, man, they are just so disciplined. Andre Tourigny has them playing such disciplined hockey right now. They allow some of the least, I have to check, it might be the least amount of shots on net per game right now. It also helps that Vejmelka is awesome right now. One of the best goalies in the league right now. And their offense is still killing it. They're not scoring the most goals, but their top contributors are contributing. Peterka, Keller, Schmaltz is unbelievable right now. Cooley, how can I not mention Cooley? And of course Gunther. So yeah, this is kind of like a team that is yet to come yet, the Montreal Canadiens. they're both teams that I think are just a true second line center away from being a true contender in my eyes. At number 5, it's the team that surprised us all. It's the Pittsburgh Penguins. They keep on chugging. And I think they're like, I don't want to put them in the category of like the Blackhawks, who I do expect some regression. I guess I expect some regression from the Penguins. I don't think they keep up this pace for the entire season. We're second right now in the entire Metropolitan Division. But this is a team that it may be the stuff of storybooks right now. They just believe in themselves, and their top guys are obviously proven. Crosby and Malkin, all those guys. So yeah, they're really proven. Shelov's is playing awesome. Jari's playing way better than years past. So I hope they can keep it up. It's just a great story. And number 4 just means in the top 3 here, but they should not be upset at all. It's the Montreal Canadiens. They are in the league right now, and if we just look at points percentage, they're second in the league. They're the top of their division. The Canadiens are unbelievable. Now, I don't have them in the top 3, the best of the best, just because there are too many games where they're kind of winning by the edge of their seat. It's very anxiety-inducing. There's a lot of chaos. And I think that the best teams in the league are a little bit more disciplined than that and can play a little bit more structured than that. That being said, they are still one of the best teams in the league. They're 4th on my power rankings. And it's going to be a great season for them. Moving on to the top 3, at number 3, the best team. Well, actually, I don't want to say that. This is one of the best teams. It's the Colorado Avalanche. I was a little sour on them losing to the Sharks, so I bumped them down. I was going to have them actually second in the entire power rankings. But, I just think they can get a little lazy sometimes. Maybe they feel a little bit entitled to certain wins or certain games. But still, the Avalanche are unbelievable. I do think they'll end up winning the Central Division. There may be one more team that has something to say about that. But Avalanche are unbelievable. They're so talented. McKinnon's doing McKinnon things. Makar's doing Makar things. And now that they got Blackwood back and they've got the tandem of Blackwood and Wedgwood, this team absolutely could. We'll see come April if they. This could be a magical team, and this could be a team that. Now they've got Natchez signed. They don't have to worry about that anymore. Maybe this is a cup-winning team. Moving on to the top 2 here, the only 2 teams left is one in the Metro, one in the Central. And number 2, I decided to put the New Jersey Devils. The Devils are a team that I think just needs to be just a tad more consistent to be like the best team in the league. But I can't take anything more away from them than that. They're just so fun to watch, and they're so good. Receiving awesome goaltending from Jake Allen. They had an awesome game from Markstrom recently, which is great to see because he was really struggling. Let's hope this is kind of a turnaround for him. Jack Hughes is, he's showing everyone, maybe reminding some people why he belongs in the top 10 of players, at least in my opinion. So, yeah, and Brad, it's just such a great team top to bottom, and they're playing remarkable hockey. The only team that I think is playing better hockey than them right now is the number 1 team in my power rankings. It's the Winnipeg Jets. The Winnipeg Jets, I think, are the best team in the league right now. And I know they're number 1 in the standings, but that's not really why I have them. Watching them, I've had been privileged enough to watch a few of these games now for the Winnipeg Jets. They're the most disciplined team in the entire league. They're just playing so disciplined, and when they play disciplined, they have the perfect blend of offense and defense. I think that their blend of just scoring and then stopping other teams from scoring on them is so impressive to see, and I have them number 1 for that exact reason. So thank you so much for watching. That has been the power rankings, my very first power rankings on this channel, just covering the month of October for all the NHL hockey that was played. There will be another edition, the second edition of this new series, I guess, Power Rankings, come the end of November. So I can't wait to see what storylines we're going to see in November and what teams ascend, maybe stay the same, or fall. I can't wait to see that. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Bit of a longer video, of course, but I do appreciate if you've been able to stay. If you like the video, please consider liking the video and subscribing. Would mean so much to me, and I will see you guys in the next video.